Hi, all of you. How's it going? Have you learned scene 2? Did you go through the module again properly and did you understand the speeches? I hope you have, because now today we are going to end with scene 3, which is a small little scene like I told you last time. But scene 2 is very important. It has a lot of speeches and we need to do a lot of learning over there. So if you haven't learned, please hurry up and go through Act 3, Scene 2, where Antony succeeds in swaying the mob towards himself rather than towards the conspirators. We come to Act 3, Scene 3. It's a small little scene, and we'll read the synopsis first. A small violent scene which highlights the consequences of Antony's speech on the mob. Cinna the poet dreamt during the night of feasting with Caesar. When he comes into the streets, the mob surround him and ask him several questions. They presume that he is Cinna the conspirator, as they beat him up and probably they kill him. It is ironic that the conspirators wanted to establish a republican state, but in reality, they turned the republic into an unruly mob. So that ironic line you need to underline. It's important that the conspirators were planning, or their view was that we want to establish a republican Rome, but instead of that the mob becomes unruly. So we start. The scene shifts to Rome, a street. So from the forum and from where they were giving, from the pulpit and all, the scene has now shifted. So it takes place in Rome, a street. Enter Cinna the poet. Cinna, I dreamt tonight that I did feast with Caesar. So he is as if he's talking to himself, that I dreamt tonight that I was feasting with Caesar. Caesar had called me for a feast, and I went and I was having a feast with him, and things unluckily charged my fantasy. He's saying, but while I was dreaming this dream, which should have been a very good dream because you're feasting with Caesar, but he's saying my mind was oppressed by thoughts of some misfortune that would happen in the near future. I have no will to wander forth of doors, and yet something leads me forth. Now he's saying over here that I don't actually want to go out out of my house. I don't want to come out on the street. But yet there is some force, some mysterious force which has forced me out, and I am out on the streets of Rome. So this force is there which has brought me out. And just while he is thinking with himself about all these various things in his mind, in that much time, from one side of the stage enter a big group of citizens. Lot of citizens just come in. And these citizens are like all bearing torches in their hands, all burning things. It's an unruly mob. They are just out to kill, shoot, and just burn everything that they see that they set their eyes on. So now enter the citizens. First citizen, what is your name? Second citizen, whither are you going? Third citizen, where do you live? Fourth citizen, are you a married man or a bachelor? Second citizen, answer every man directly. Answer, aye, briefly. Aye, and wisely. Aye, and truly, you are the best. So these people are really agitated and they are like unruly. But Cinna is very calm. He's a poet. He's very calm. And he says, what is my name? Whither am I going? Where do I dwell? Am I a married man or a bachelor? And then he's saying, what am I supposed to do? Answer every man directly and briefly and wisely and truly. He's saying, okay, so you have asked me 4 questions and you have given me 4 directions of how I'm supposed to answer these particular questions. So he's saying, okay, to answer wisely, I say that I am a bachelor. So he's saying I'm a very wise person because I am a bachelor. So that answers your question of answer every man wisely, that I am a bachelor. So the second citizen gets angry. He says, oh, so that is as much as to say that they are fools that marry. You will bear me a bang for that, I fear. Proceed directly. Now directly answer. So he says, okay, directly I am going to Caesar's funeral. First citizen, as a friend or an enemy? Cinna, as a friend. Second citizen, that matter is answered directly. Fourth, for your dwelling, briefly. Cinna, Briefly, I dwell by the Capitol. Third citizen, your name, sir, truly. So, Sinha is saying, truly, my name is Sinha. Tear him to pieces. He's a conspirator. Because they have heard that there is a conspirator by the name of Sinha. So the minute he says, I'm Sinha, they assume that he is a conspirator. And so they say, tear him to pieces. I am Sinha the poet. I am Sinha the poet. Okay. Tear him for his bad verses. Tear him for his bad verses. So this is just tear him off because he has written bad verses. So Sinha, he is trying to tell them that I am the poet, I am not Sinha the conspirator. The second citizen, where he says, Sinha, I am not Sinha the conspirator. So second citizen, it is no matter. His name is Sinha. Pluck but his name out of his heart and turn him going. Now this is a very cruel sort of a humor. You feel like smiling over here, but there is cruelty in this humor. It's not good humor because they are saying that pluck but his name out of his heart. So if you pluck a person's heart out of his body, obviously he is going to die. So they are saying pluck his name out of his heart and then let him go. Let him advance. So third citizen. Tear him, come brands, ho, firebrands, to Brutus's, to Cassius's, burn everything. Some go to Decius's house, and some to Casca's, some to Ligarius. So here we get the name of most of the conspirators who are involved in this act, and the citizens are all ready to burn with them. It's become an unruly mob. So this is the end of Act 3, and before you would think, or I would rather like to tell you that and make you think as to why Shakespeare had to introduce such a small scene which is hardly of 2 pages with one line, one dialogue given to everybody. If you think deeply, this scene has been used to dramatize the effect of his play, because it is this scene which shows us how Antony's speech has stirred up the mob into a mutiny. Till now the mob was not had not stirred up into a revolt against the conspirators, but it is a speech of Antony that has had this effect on the mob. And for the reader or for the people to understand that the effect of Antony's speech, this small little scene has been introduced over here. And there is a difference, of course, in the two mobs. If you see Act 3, Scene 1, the mob over here in Act 3, Scene 1 was, where they were proceeding to the... come to Act 3, Scene 1. They were in front of the Capitol, and they were all going with Caesar. And that crowd was a different crowd because they were going to celebrate at the Feast of Lupercal. But the people who enter over here in Scene 3, this is a ruly mob that comes on the street. Okay, so that is a difference in the two. So I want you all to take down this little point over here. Please write it down. The purpose of this scene is to dramatize the effect of Mark Antony's speech. The purpose of this scene is to dramatize the effect of Mark Antony's speech. In the opening scene, that is Act 3, Scene 1, we were shown in the opening scene, Act 3, Scene 1, we were shown a group of commoners. Why am I dictating this to you? Because there could be a question which tells you what is the difference in the crowd of people or the mob that enters in the opening of the scene and that enters at the end of the act. So Act 1, Act 3, Scene 1, Act 3, Scene 3. What is the difference in these two crowds? That's why I'm dictating it to you. In the opening scene, we were shown a group of commoners, put commoners in inverted commas. They are not a mob, but they are a collection of individuals. In Act 3, Scenes 2 and 3, we are shown a different kind of a mob. In Act 3, Scenes 2 and 3, we are shown a different kind of a mob, uttering violent shouts. They are not individuals, but they are a group, a mob that is swayed by mob emotions. They are not individuals, but a mob swayed by mob emotions. Shakespeare never shows us an attractive mob. He never shows the mob to be attractive. This scene shows advance. This scene shows advance in the action of the play. So the action of the play has advanced over here. And what is this action of the play? How is it advanced? This scene shows us an advance in the action of the play. The mob means mischief to Brutus, Cassius, and the other conspirators. The mob means mischief to Brutus, Cassius, and the other conspirators. So that is a little note I wanted to dictate to you. Now I want to tell you, if you remember that when we were discussing the plot of the play, when I have explained to you the plot of a play, there are 5 things which are there in the plot. So first you have the exposition, then you have the rising action, and once you have the rising action, then you have the climax. So this scene is actually the climax scene where Caesar is assassinated. So we have reached the climax, the crisis is reached, beginning with the exposition, then we have the rising action, and then we have the climax. After that, after the climax is reached, we start having the falling action. So this scene actually is the beginning. It describes to us the falling action of the scene, and now we are going to go towards the conclusion of the play. So that is why this scene, this small little scene, is equally important. So I hope I have been able to explain Act 3 to you properly, in the sense that it has helped you to understand Shakespearean language and the act better, so that you can answer your questions in a better way. And at the next module, we will continue with Act 4. Though the question answers of this act I would be giving before I start with Act 4, I will give you the question answers. I will not give you the answers, of course. I'll give you a list of questions which I think would be important for you, so that you can go through them, and if not write them out, you can at least orally, because I know you're already doing a lot of writing. You would be writing for your workbooks, etc. These questions will be different from the questions that you have in the workbook. Some of them could be the same. These are questions which I think are important and which I would place on this entire act, and I will be discussing the answers also after giving you the questions. So with that, your facilitator Himangi for English Literature Julius Caesar textbook says goodbye to you. Do keep studying, do keep practicing, and all the best to all of you all. Bye.